everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Alyssa. In case you are new here, welcome and thank you so much for clicking. Yeah, can we just totally ignore these orange hands that I've got going on? Yeah, I had an incident. Self-tan, you guys get it. On my video today. So today I thought that I would do a video that's totally different. You know, it's June, it's a new month, so I thought I'd try something new, and first and foremost, I wanted to say that I just feel like it would be totally ignorant for me not to speak on the things that are going on in our country, US. There's a lot going on right now, and my heart just totally hurts for everything that's going on. I just feel like I don't really have necessarily the platform or what's the word? The know-how, the intuition to really speak in depth on this, but I just want to say that I feel like there needs to be serious change, and I hope that voices start getting heard really soon, because it's just, you know, this is supposed to be America, land of the free, home of the brave. So I even wore my red, white, and blue. It's like, come on, people, just freaking, why can't we all just be happy? Why can't we all just be happy, do the right thing, spread kindness, spread joy? But that all aside, welcome to my video. Welcome to today's video. Today I am deciding to do kind of a little chatty get ready with me and talking about a story that is comic related because I love comics. So I decided to do Wonder Woman, showcase Wonder Woman for this first episode of this series. If I'm gonna make it a series, I'm gonna try to make it a series, because there's a new Wonder Woman movie coming out, Wonder Woman 1984. And so with that one, I thought I would decide to bring out an 80s one. This one was published in, well, the first issue was published in May of 1986, so it was probably started on in like 1985, but this is called The Legend of Wonder Woman, and it's just a 4-part mini-series that I've had in my collection for quite a while. It's actually signed by the author, Kurt Busiek, because my husband and I have seen him off and on the past few years. He lives in Portland, and so whenever we go to a Comic-Con, he's usually there, or if he's usually out and about and pretty good about being out in his community. So I had him sign those when I saw him, I don't even know, a few years ago at one of the comic conventions, so I think that's pretty cool. So I'm never gonna get rid of this series. I love it so much. But yeah, this is just a short little 4-issue series that I thought that I would talk about. I think that we all need a little bit of fun, lightness, joy right now amid everything that's going on, so I wanted to stir things up and do something a little bit different on my channel. I was actually inspired by this type of video from another YouTuber who I watched. I've known about her for a few years, but I finally recently started really getting into her videos after I found her, like, I think on my recommended page or something like that, and I just kind of said, oh, there's that one YouTuber who so-and-so had talked about, let me check her out. And I completely fell in love. Her name is Bailey Sarian, and she does murder, I don't know the exact sequence, but it's like murder, mystery, makeup Mondays. So every Monday she puts out a new video where she does her makeup and she talks about a true crime story. And I think that that's such a freaking good idea. There's so many people that watch those videos from her, and so I thought, you know what? Why can't I do that type of thing, except for with comics? So I'm gonna try it, I'm gonna attempt it and see if it works out, because I've been really, over the past year, I would say, I've been trying to contemplate a way to incorporate comics more into my channel, because it's something that I love. So I think that this is a great way of doing that. If you guys like it at all, if you have any other recommendations or suggestions for this type of video, I would love for you to leave any and all thoughts in the comment section, and I will be sure to take those into consideration. Yeah. So yeah, think that's about all I wanted to say about it. Oh, and I did dive into this new brush set that, well, it's not new, but it's older. It's probably 2 years old. It's a collection from Luxie. She collabed with Wonder Woman. They collabed with Wonder Woman, and they did this 5-piece brush set and a compact mirror behind here. So I decided that I would use some of these brushes because it's Wonder Woman, so it's just fitting. It's not available anymore on her website because it was limited edition, so if you do want it, you'll have to go through like a third-party seller like eBay or something like that. But yeah, I just wanted to showcase oh, and I did use the Wonder Woman makeup that I got. I did a review on it. If you haven't seen that review, I will post that in the description box as well. I think that's about all I wanted to say. Yeah, if you guys want to see how I achieved this look, and if you want to hear a really good Wonder Woman story, then just keep watching. I'm hoping this turns out good. I've never done anything like this, so we're just gonna have to see what happens. We're gonna start with makeup and start talking about this story. So we'll talk about the first issue here. So in the very first issue, we see that the story is set in the time period where Wonder Woman is already in America, and in fact we see that Steve is with her. So they're in the middle of a parade in Washington, D.C., and all of a sudden a villain strolls on in there, and her name is Atamia. So she appears to start some well, she actually sends her slave minions to start the and at first Wonder Woman thinks that she's targeting some of the big people there in DC. So her and Steve are looking to get over to those people, but actually she's targeting regular people off the street. So she's capturing them for who knows what reason. So Steve gets captured, and after a bit of back and forth, Atamia summons her people back with the people that they've captured so far, and they go back to her home planet. Wonder Woman then gets up and she kind of looks around, and she's very obviously distraught about what just happened. She decides to go home to kind of get a game plan started to, you know, figure out what her next move should be, basically. Then she is met face to face with a little girl who claims to be an orphan, and she's kind of got an attitude on her. Actually, she's got a big attitude. We'll get back to that. Wonder Woman can clearly see that she doesn't look like an orphan, and so of course she doesn't need this right now. So she finds an officer nearby who can, you know, kind of help her and get this little girl home. Why am I putting this on my forehead? I always do my forehead last. What am I doing? Before she could get the officer over to where she was at, the little girl mentions Etta Candy, and if you guys don't know who that is, she is a really big part of the Wonder Woman story. In the movie, she's played as Steve Trevor's secretary. Wonder Woman then tells her to go to her friend Diana's house and she'll straighten everything out from there. The story then jumps back to Atamia back at her lair with minions, just kind of spewing a bunch of bullshit. At this point, it doesn't really give much about her intentions other than she's just trying to maybe take as many humans from Earth as possible and bring them back to her so that they can be her slaves or worship her, or who freaking knows. The story then jumps back to Diana's house, where Diana is on the phone with a young collegiate Etta Candy. And it appears that she didn't even know that the little girl left. Etta kind of pushed her babysitting responsibilities onto Diana and just said, can you watch her for a little bit? It's a finals week or something like that. And I don't need this right now. I don't need the distraction of this. After that, Diana went into her bedroom for a private phone call. Sorry, my camera keeps on like going in and out, like darker and lighter. Hopefully I fixed it. Anyways, where was I? So Wonder Woman calls back home to get some supplies, home meaning like her Paradise Island family, to get some supplies. That way she can track down this Atomia. Well, the conversation wasn't so private because Susie was listening in, and the bits and pieces that she did hear, I bet she was thinking like, what the f-? Next, Wonder Woman goes to the roof of her apartment building and she summons one of the people from her land to come and bring her supplies, whatever she needed to, you know, defeat this person. Of course, Susie sees this entire thing that just happened and she, of course, is shocked, but she is also kind of curious and devious. All the isses. So she follows Wonder Woman. Wonder Woman then finds Atomia and she tells her that she better release the people or else she will go to her planet with her trusty equipment she just got and release them herself. And Atomia uses her powers to turn a fish from a nearby body of water into this fishy mutant thingy. She's able to tell it to go and kind of fight Wonder Woman, destroy Wonder Woman, whatever. Little girl Susie is watching this whole thing unfold behind a nearby tree, and she gets startled by a woman who comes up behind her, and Susie thinks that this is one of Atomia's people and comes out towards Wonder Woman hoping that Wonder Woman will save her. And of course Wonder Woman gets distracted by all this because she isn't expecting it, and so she and the little girl get knocked down by the fish mutant, and the woman runs off and pages someone into this this little device that she has, and she started requesting help because Wonder Woman is obviously knocked down. She was actually turned out to be one of the good guys. Atomia gets her chance to capture them, but out of nowhere a ship flies by and just scoops them up by that woman who paged into the device, that good person. And Wonder Woman wakes up in the ship and discovers that her name is Hera, and that she's obviously saved them. They're trying to get the out of there because Atomia is trying to beam these bolts of lasers to them to take down the ship, which ultimately she does seem to strike them with one, and in the very last panel of the story we see the ship down and Wonder Woman's mother, Hippolyta, is watching through her looking glass and seeing all the go down. Now this leads us to the second issue of the story. At the crash site, Wonder Woman and Susie seem to be okay, but the pilot is nowhere to be seen as of yet. As soon as the two are up and okay, Wonder Woman decided that they needed to go head towards these mountains because that seemed to be like the direction that the ship was going in. Back at the Atom Galaxy, we see the Atom minion slaves with the human slaves, including Steve, ordering them to shovel out some uranium from the ground. Steve gets kind of curious and is wondering why these people aren't touching the uranium. And so he starts to question it and decides to throw some at one of them, causing the being to completely explode and disintegrate. And of course, the other guards see this and decided to kind of come at him, but they decided to spare his life because they were, quote, behind schedule. And the prisoners are all taken back to their cells, and Steve starts thinking of devising a plan for what they need to do next. I think it's time to bust out these brushes now. I'm so excited to use these. These are a pretty old collection from Luxie. So I got these personally like, I want to say year and a half, maybe closer to 2 years ago, and I didn't get it when it originally launched because this was a limited collection launch, and so I had to purchase this from actually a reseller. So I was happy to get it, but I paid, oh gosh, how much did I pay? Let me look it up really quick. $70. I paid $70 for this from a reseller, and it went probably for, I don't even know how much it went for, but I mean, Luxie is pretty pricey, but I mean, I couldn't put a price on Wonder Woman. So there's the brushes. I'm gonna try and use as many of these as I can. The next point of the story is back at Earth. So Wonder Woman and Susie reach their destination. It's a land of people that Wonder Woman herself had actually saved a few years back from some that went down there. The pilot was one of these people. The two rulers of this land are a pair of twins, and their names are Layla and Salala. They welcome the two of them, and they decide to have a big feast the next day so that they could tell Wonder Woman of all their troubles, what's been going on. Their land is thriving off of this sun jewel, which is coveted by certain people. They then explained that Atomia tried to bust in and take it, and she was stopped by the land's solar shields, and she wasn't powerful enough to break through them. But she had vowed that she would find other resources that would kind of jack herself up and then return to their land for the Sun Jewel. The pilot from the previous issue was one of their people, like I said, and she had come to Washington, D.C. to warn Wonder Woman about Atomia, but she was obviously too late to warn her. She wasn't too late to save her, so that was good. By this time, Susie kind of gets bored of the conversation and wanders off to read a book that Diana had given to her back at home to keep herself busy. She finds a nice cozy spot next to a tree to curl up to and starts reading it. She gets really entranced by all the Greek mythology stories in it, and it starts to really sink in everything that's going on as she compares the stories to what Wonder Woman and everyone is going through. Then a couple of local kids see her and introduce themselves. Then they start chatting with her for a little bit, and they just become great pals. Back to Wonder Woman. The two sisters, Layla and Salala, plus Wonder Woman, they are back at the chambers discussing a plan of attack to Atomia's Atom planet to free the prisoners. Layla is the sister who had kind of an evil streak previously in the past, and out of nowhere, she all of a sudden pulls out this stun gun and shoots Wonder Woman in the face with it. The other sister, Salala, was of course shocked by all this and is like, what the heck? Did you return to your evil ways or something? Of course she did. Layla begins to restrain both of them, and she kind of unveils what's going on. Basically, she's been in contact with Atomia, and Atomia had promised her, she had struck a deal with her that if she handed over Wonder Woman to Atomia, that Atomia would see to it that Layla, the evil twin, would become the sole ruler of the people in their land, in her land, not Atomia's land, the one with the Land of Mirrors, Sun Jewel thing. So Atomia arrives and tells her to lower the shields, that way she can take Wonder Woman. And of course the shields are lowered, and first thing she goes for is the Sun Jewel. Oh my goodness, how is it possible that she went back on her word? Because she's a criminal, that's why. Even though she betrayed her sister, she would still do anything to protect her people, so she gets the f*** out of there so she can protect her land. So Wonder Woman breaks free of her restraints and breaks Salala loose as well. Wonder Woman then orders her to go out and fight while she deals with Atomia personally. Wonder Woman finds her, and they start to just go on like an all-out brawl. They go all out on each other, but eventually Atomia knocks Wonder Woman out by collapsing a ceiling on top of her. That battle is over. Susie, seeing what seemed to be defeat, comes up from around the corner and brings that big energy with her. Atomia is slightly amused with it and brings her along back to her planet, seemingly to have some sort of plan for her. By this time, the land is ravaged, and all the people that were living there, have been reduced to atoms from Atomia and her warrior minions. And in the last panel of this story, she takes Wonder Woman and Salala back to her planet and leaves Layla to her broken, empty land to be the sole ruler. After all, she was promised. Next, we're at the third issue of the story, and in the first panel, we see Atamia and her new sidekick, Susan, beside her with Wonder Woman in restraints, totally helpless. We see Layla, the former evil twin. She comes and appears to try and free her sister and kind of avenge her people. She's then met face to face with Steve and some of the other prisoners who mistake her for the good twin. She explained who she was and her purpose for being there, and they then show her the way to her sister. But first they come upon Wonder Woman's cell, and they're obviously surprised to see her. Nonetheless, Wonder Woman breaks out of her restraints and she breaks the bars from her cell, and they all head out together. They're met with some of Atamia's guards, so they end up fighting them off really quickly and moving on. Then they end up at the opposite end of that Atom planet, and with the help of Steve's knowledge of being there for so long, he figured out that with one twin being there on the opposite side of the planet, the other twin can communicate with them telepathically and make her do the exact motions that she's doing. It's kind of weird stuff. They're doing this basically just to create a diversion. That way Wonder Woman can get in there really quickly and snatch Susie up. So this ends up working, and Wonder Woman grabs Susie and whisks her away despite Susie's great reluctance. They come upon Atamia and yet again have another face-off battle, but by this time it is Wonder Woman who comes out on top. So the two of them, plus Layla and Salala from the Mirror Jewel land, transport to Wonder Woman's land of Paradise Island because Wonder Woman wants to gather an army together to sort of defeat Atamia once and for all. In the last few panels of this one, we see Atamia scouring the oceans to try and find the hidden island of Paradise. That way she can wreak havoc. Okay, we're on the last issue now. So we've got Wonder Woman and her people, and they're on Paradise Island and ready for battle. So they use their resources, and a bunch of them are able to shrink down into atoms to go to Atamia's planet. And of course, Susie, she jumps into the portal at the last second in hopes of becoming the co-ruler of this land like she was promised from Atamia before she was whisked away. Wonder Woman finds Steve, and she notices that he's so worn down from all the radiation from being there at that planet for so long. And so she tells one of her people from back at her Paradise Island to basically take Steve and the other Earth people back to Paradise Island. That way they can get the medical attention that they really need. Then Susie goes off to find her mythology book that Diana had given her back at her house. Because Susie is a little bit torn at this point, whether she wants to stay there and become the succeeding ruler, or if she wants to go with Wonder Woman and do the right thing. Atamia catches Susie and demands to know what Wonder Woman's plans are. And of course, she fesses up to everything and goes with her to find Wonder Woman. We see Wonder Woman at this point going down into the deep abyss of this planet. She's trying to find a device that keeps the planet running so that she can disengage it and finally defeat Atamia. She finds what she's looking for, and not even just a couple moments later, Susie and Atamia arrive right behind her. Wonder Woman quickly ends up pulling out one of the devices that she got back from her home planet to communicate telepathically with Salala and tell her to get her and her people, get them the f*** there. She's about to blow this up. Wonder Woman and Tamiya begin to kind of brawl again, and Susie's starting to realize that despite everything, Wonder Woman's intentions are actually good and kind, and Tamiya is just kind of a jerk and is self-serving and she'll never be satisfied, so she knows kind of what needs to be done at this point. Susie then, in a fit of heroism, decides to throw her mythology book that Diana gave her into the chamber of the device that Wonder Woman was about to destroy herself, which caused it to, of course, totally collapse and become just a big pile of clunk. Everything starts to shake and the planet is about to completely implode, so Wonder Woman grabs Susie and the two of them use Wonder Woman's device that she got from her home planet, and they're able to teleport back to Paradise Island, Wonder Woman's home. The twins, Layla and Salala, are there with Steve, and all of them, they all just stood there in amazement as the explosions of the planet light up the sky looking like fireworks. Wonder Woman then says her goodbyes to the twins as they head back to their land so that they can rebuild it. So that's seemingly the end of that whole story. A few days later, back at Susie's house, Diana drops off Susie to her mother's place, and Susie and Etta kind of get their handed to them, with Etta letting Susie run off and Susie getting in trouble for running off. And just as Susie is about to open her mouth to go off about how, "Did you even know what I freaking did? I just totally defeated a Adam villain," Diana actually makes eye contact with her, and uses her powers to basically shut that down. A total switch just gets flipped in Susie's mind, and she goes up to her room without any back talk at all. For once. I think I just need lips and then I'm done. So that's the story, guys. There's a small little epilogue after that involves Wonder Woman's mom and some people back at Paradise Island, but for all intents and purposes, the story just pretty much ends there. That is it, you guys. That is the Legend of Wonder Woman. If you guys like this style of video and want to see more superheroes or even supervillains showcased in future videos, leave any comments, recommendations down below. I would love to do this more. I just think this is so fun getting ready, because I gotta get ready anyways, and talking about comics, which is one of my favorite things in the world. So yeah, guys, that is it. And if you guys like this video, please give it a big thumbs up, hit that subscribe button, that way you won't miss out on my next upload. And yeah, I think that's about it. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you all in my next one. Bye!